Jeff buys a home in March, and then in June, Jeff sells his home for a 40% profit. Jeff must pay an 8% tax to the government, okay, and Jeff pays the government $12,000. How much did he originally buy a home for? Couple of things that I'm going to recommend. If you're not comfortable with percents, go on Google, go on Khan Academy, whatever it is, but brush up on percents. It'll definitely help for the test, and it'll help for problems like this. So let's get started with this. Let's understand the main points or the main numbers that the problem gives me. So one thing it tells me is that Jeff pays the government $12,000, and that $12,000 he pays them is 8% off the profit, right? Because if you look at the problem, it's saying Jeff must pay an 8% tax to the government on the profit from the sale. So he pays the government $12,000. So that means whatever the profit was, he paid 8% of that to the government. So that's one thing. And the second thing is Jeff sells this home for a 40% profit. So Jeff sold a home. So sold home. Let's get this. Sold home at 40% profit, right? Those are really the main key figures or main facts that the problem gives me. And the question is saying, how much did he originally buy the house for? So I'm going to set up a couple of equations here, and having a good foundation of percents will definitely help. So let's work with this fact first. Let's say that X represents my profit, right? I don't know what the profit is, but I know that I paid 8% of that profit to the government. So 8% off profit equals $12,000. So think about how I can set up an equation for this. 8% is the same thing as 0.08. Off is multiply X. Let's call profit P. 8% of the profit equals $12,000. So now what I'm going to do is just use algebra to solve for P. Divide both sides by 0.08. So that cancels that out, and then P will equal 12,000 divided by 0.08, which should give us, let's see, 12,000 divided by 0.08 gives me 150,000. So now I know that the profit was 150,000. And again, just to recap everything I did, the problem is saying I paid 8% of the profit to the government. So 8% of whatever my profit was $12,000. So then I solved for the P, and it gave me $150,000. Now let's look at the second fact. The second fact is saying that whatever the price of the house was that I bought it at, I sold it at a 40% profit. So now I know what the profit is, so I'm going to set up a similar equation. So 40%, which is 0.40, off, which is multiply. So 40% off how much ever I bought the house at. For in this case, let's just call that X. So X represents my original buy for the house, the original price of the house. So if I take 40% of that original buy, that tells you what my profit was, and I know that the profit is 150,000. So I have my second equation here, 0.4x equals 150,000, and then I'll divide both sides by 0.4, and this will tell me my original cost of the house, which should be 375,000. I'm just going to double check that. 150,000 divided by 0.4, 375,000. So now I know that this was my original cost of the house. So just to kind of work backwards, if I bought the house with $375,000, I made a 40% profit, which 40% of 375,000 is 150,000, so that checks out. And then I had to give the government 8% profit. I had to give the government 8% in tax of the profit. So my profit was $150,000, and if I take 8% of that, that does equal $12,000. So everything checks out. My answer here is A, 375,000.